So that's happening, the Yankee Award application. So Civic Association will email Yankee Award applications. Again, this is all contingent upon the New York Yankees. If the New York Yankees is not doing it for whatever reason, then we're not doing it. But in the meantime, we want to step ahead of the game. We got applications from the Bronx Park East. We got an application from the Bronx Park East Community Association and one from the Morris Park Library. The deadline is the 31st. I know.
Of October?
I know we're going to probably take more after that. First come, first served type thing. So Linda might say more about that later. Rook's Lounge. We got a complaint about Rook's Lounge having an unpermitted sidewalk cafe. They were violated by the city. I do know. I'm trying to get more information on their disposition because they have a hearing for the DCA. In the meantime, despite their maybe problematic history, some members of our board do feel that when we get complaints about individual businesses like Luke's Lounge, and we'll say other ones, but more like Luke's Lounge, maybe we should give a courtesy, reach out to the business before we go to city agency and issue violations. Speaking of violations, the Rainbow Diner did contact me. They got a violation by the State Liquor Authority. That was for, so by law, your state, can I explain? So by law, liquor license applicants must notify of their intent. Notify the community board of their intent to apply for a liquor license. They have to wait 30 days before they actually submit their application to the State Liquor Authority. In this case, Rainbow Diner submitted early. And for that, they got a $500 fine.
Wow.
I did speak to my contact at the State Liquor Authority. Basically, they need to go before the SLA board and ask for leniency. You know, sorry, our mistake. You know, we shouldn't have done that. Can you please, you know, help us out this one time? Another thing, full board video recordings. I put something in your packet. I want to know if you object. I know this came up at one of the leadership committee meetings. Somebody asked me about the camera in back. We are not, that's not official, but one of our relative of one of our board members is kind enough recording the meeting for us. We'll see how that turns out. But if you could respond to that thing in the packet, because I know some people are questioning the cost. We did get members of the public interested in doing and having our video, our full board meetings video recorded. For those who cannot necessarily attend.
Jeremy,
Yes.
what is the cost per
Well, it depends on who you go to. So as you may recall, first of all, the Bronx Times did reach out to me about video recordings because other boards are doing it. In fact, our board seemed to have been the first when Councilmember Vaca funded that. We got a total of 7 recordings through Councilmember Vaca. That costed the city $35,000. The quote I got for us as a meeting or $7,200 a year. That was the cheapest I could get. BronxNet was willing to do it for more like $1,200 to $1,500 a meeting.
Wow.
So it depends on who you go to.
So you're saying the best price is $800?
Grace has been doing it for nothing.
Give me car fare.
And then we have this camera, which looks a little bit more high speed for free, thanks to the board members relative. So anybody who wants to record, as long as it doesn't obstruct the meeting, by law, they're allowed to record the meeting. So, the thing in the packet, please give it to Harry or Chris if you can. And then CB12 issues, people complained to me at our last leadership committee meeting about, people complained prior to that. There have been issues with the Chase Auto Group on Gun Hill Road, that's officially in Community Board 12. That's the north side of Community Board. Or that's of our Community Board. The south side is us, the north side is Community Board 12. There was also complaints about the MTA bus yard and the old golf property. You know, golf is sport, do you call it that? I spoke to the chairman of Community Board 12, because obviously, you know, I've spoken to my colleague at Board 12, I met him on site. We lost some contact with Chase Auto Group. The chairman of Community Board 12, for anyone that's interested, in cleanup in Community Ward 12 would like a site visit meeting with anyone who's interested.
Jeremy, I specified that more than well, and George has been dragging his feet
Well, that's why I
for
involved the
3
chairman.
months. I'm sick and tired of
That's
this.
why I involved the chairman of Community Ward 12. I want to make sure he was involved.
Dom Chiano wants to be part of it.
Okay.
Getting back to, the vote on that other thing with the cameras.
There's no vote.
Yes means no and no means yes.
There's no vote.
Yes, I have an objection, and no, I don't have an objection.
Yes.
So yes means no and no means yes.
Yeah, and again, even if you object to the video recordings, the public can do it.
Yeah.
As long as it doesn't interfere with the
Right.
meeting. No one's saying the public can't do it. So we'll, very thankful to a board member as well, so we'll see how that turns out. Community Ward 12, so Brown's going to meet. I'll arrange something times with you, okay? And the budget priorities were handled earlier, thanks to a member of the public. Committee reports, we'll turn this over to.
Andres,
Oh,
I have a question.
Mike, please, Mike.
I have a question about the public videotaping it.
Yes.
Do they then post it on a website somewhere?
Grace, I believe, would post it to Facebook.
Okay, my question then is, who's to say that that is an accurate portrayal and that it hasn't been edited in some way, either to someone's favor or detriment?
Yeah, I mean, that's, unfortunately, what can you do?
Watch
Then
the
you don't
video.
allow it by.
You can't,
then you
by
don't
law,
allow
by
it-
state law.
You don't allow it to be posted.
No.
Yeah, but that's up to the individual. You can't, how can you tell Facebook not to
You want it,
allow?
your Facebook page is monitored, somebody has to authorize it to go on.
But the way, so you can report things on Facebook?
I'm not criticizing that. My point is
I think I'm using YouTube.
that it might not be a fair assessment of what goes on if it's edited.
I understand. How are you gonna do that?
That's my,
How
in
you
the
stop
case
that?
of this, I can say it is unedited. I'm not questioning who's doing it, I'm not questioning Grace or Cindy or anybody, I'm just making a statement.
Andrea, you're right, someone can put it on and they can edit it. I don't think there's anything we can do until we see it edited on YouTube, and then, then we have to figure out what to do from there.
I mean, if we were to come across, if somebody were to provide evidence that, hey, somebody's misrepresenting the board, they cut it, they, you know, then we can maybe we can look into that. Until then, I wouldn't worry about it too much. And we could do our own official thing.
If that is a concern, Andrea, then the board has to take the action to create its own official version, so that there are no questions. So that if there is something edited on somebody else's, you can compare if it ever came to be an issue.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's move on to committee reports then, please. Anthony Mazzaliano, Leadership Committee.
Good evening. Leadership, I have several motions. All right, number one, motion to support the Department of Sanitation's request for alternate side signage in front of the Morris Park train station, Tuesday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Second by Al D'Angelo. Open for discussion. Linda?
Go ahead, it's on.
Are we talking about 180th Street?
Mike Brown's house.
No.
Oh, okay, all right, I just was saying, okay.
Anything else?
Lisa.
Mike.
Mike?
When you say in front, is it just the block in front, is it across the street, is it the side?
It's, so you have the front of the station,
Uh-huh,
and then you have the side where there's the staircase.
okay,
So that,
so
because that's officially MTA property.
Okay, but that's not like ending at the staircase, or like all the way to the corner?
So where it's, no, not to Aspen, not to Holland.
Okay,
No, just where it starts at the steps, and then down to the station to the fire hydrant.
got it, thank you.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against?
One against,
One,
Lisa?
Lisa Soto, any abstentions? Motion passed. Next motion, Motion to request Councilmember Torres' office to fund the cleaning of Bronx Park East from 80 Avenue to Unionport Road by FedCap. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Second by Dominic Shiano. Open for discussion. Well,
I'd just like to mention
John,
that
go ahead.
it's only the park side of the street that they're gonna clean. It's on Bronx Park East, but only on the park side of the street. I mean, the individual homeowners would be responsible for their signage.
that's fine. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstentions? Motion passed unanimously. Motion to request the Parks Department devise a plan for our review for the planting, pruning, removal of trees in Bronx Park north of Pelham Park. You meant Bronx Park East, correct?
Yes.
Bronx Park East, north of Pelham Parkway. That's the motion I think Joe was talking about. Do I have a second on it? Second by Edith Blitzer. All open for discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstentions? Unanimous? Thank you very much.
Transportation Fund,
We have one motion to send a letter of support for a wider bike path on the George Washington Bridge. Any second? Lisa Solder, second. Open for discussion. Closed. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
so Joe Menta and John Scajeri,
No, over there too.
Andrew Siegel, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's Edith, Andrea, and Sandy, 5 total.
Any abstention? None abstention?
No
Okay,
abstentions.
Joe is abstaining. Motion carries.
Wait, so Joe is against or you're abstaining? So John abstaining?
Joe Thompson abstaining.
Okay, Joe, okay. So,
Joe Maker was a no, and then you had some no's on the other side.
yes, so then April and Joe Thompson abstaining. Yeah, so it's 2 abstentions, okay.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Great, thank you. David Levitt, Bylaws Committee?
Good evening. Last month, the chair spoke about his request to update the attendance policy as it relates to the removal from Community Board 11. Current policy is in Article 3, Section 4, which is posted to the board's website, which refers to being subject to removal for 3 non-excused consecutive absences from full community board meetings or 5 total non-excused absences from the full board meetings between September 1 and June 30th. The chair requested the Bylaws Committee review a proposal to simplify that to 5 excused or unexcused absences from full community board meetings. So what that means in plain English is that we meet 9 times a year. We don't meet in July, August, or December. So if you miss any 5 meetings for any reason in a board year, which is considered from September 1 to June 30th, you'll be subject to removal. It's not automatic. There's a process that has to go through where the person has to be presented with charges. They have an opportunity to respond to those charges.
No comments in the gallery, please.
I'm sorry?
No. Go ahead, David.
And the only change that's being recommended at this time is to simplify the removal process so that if you miss 5 full board meetings, that you'll be subject to removal. That's the proposal.
Consecutive meetings.
No, it doesn't have to be consecutive. 5 total meetings.
Excused and unexcused.
So that's I'm making that motion to make the change to the bylaw to that effect. Is there a second?
I second it.
Is there any discussion? Any questions? Yes.
Would this also apply to people that leave early or come late, or?
We didn't address that. We didn't address that. When you sign the attendance sheet, it's always been a matter of honor that you were attending for the entire meeting. If you sign the attendance sheet, in my experience, and leave 10 minutes later, we're gonna know that, and we're gonna have to change the policy. But if you sign the attendance sheet, and I'm only speaking from my experience, and then you would attend most of the meeting and then have to leave, I don't know that that would be an issue. But if the board wants us to consider that change and look into that, if it's being abused in that way, then we can look into it. Al, would you like to speak on that?
I think anybody who would take advantage of that and come in and just sign in and just run out, I think that, they don't belong here, first of all, only because they're not, everybody here is committed. Everybody here is a volunteer and they're giving their time. I see that, I don't see that, I haven't seen it happen yet. I've seen some people leave early, but that might be a commitment. I know Martha had a commitment to her mom. She has to leave, so she'll leave about, 8:15, she's gotta get out of here. But again, as you mentioned, Davey, if that does happen and it's something consistent that we see, then we'll have to just amend the bylaws to show that.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Yes.
Before we vote on this, I think we all should think long and hard, because God forbid any of you has an illness that's gonna take you away from here for a number of months,
Andrea, we discussed that.
but that's not mentioned
Yeah,
yet.
but that's where it comes up before, in other words, it will now come before the board. And if that's an illness, obviously, the committee is not gonna turn around and say, look, you're off the board.
Okay,
If
but
there's some
that
kind of an
doesn't
illness.
say, that
Well, no,
wasn't said, that's why.
it does say it comes before the board for further discussion. And obviously, it has to be a fool to penalize somebody.
Your executive board not gonna
It's the executive.
Well, can I speak for a moment on excused versus unexcused absence? And perhaps Tom can address this. As far as I know, the borough president's office doesn't distinguish between excused and non-excused absence when reappointment is being considered. So that's sort of something that we've done at the board level, but how is that considered at the borough president's level?
Well, similar to what Al is saying, when I go through reappointments and we notice there's a pattern of someone who's missed 3 or 4 meetings, and I call Jeremy, and if Jeremy says, or may I already know, that there's an extenuating circumstance that involves someone being ill, a death in the family, we will obviously acknowledge that. In addition, just so you know, the deputy borough president calls every member who has more than 3 or 4 absences consecutively, unless I give her a reason that I know that person has not been there. So again, if somebody's been ill, I will tell the deputy, I know that she's been ill, she's been out, she's been in the hospital. If I have unexcused absences, and Jeremy or Al don't know why that person has been out, the deputy borough president will call that person and find out what their intentions are. We've had this past round, a number of people decide that, after the conversation with the deputy, that they'll withdraw their application. They'll take a year off. We've also not reappointed folks based on those conversations. So we do take into consideration, listen, again, you're all volunteers, you all do 30 other things in addition to this. We take all of that into consideration when we are doing reappointments.
Thank you for clarifying. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? I see no.
One.
There's one opposition. And is there any abstentions? No abstentions. The motion passes.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you, David. Dr. Sal? Mike, please.
As far as the budget priority items, that any member of the community board or of the community board 11 residents, please keep forwarding the ideas to the office. let's create a paper trail, and sooner or later it's going to speak up. Thank you.
Okay, economic development,
Wait,
Shannon?
before we move on, can I, in terms of scheduling the public hearing that we have to do, is there any reason why we couldn't have it before the next community board meeting, immediately before? So if our meeting begins at 7, we could have that at 6 or 6:30?
You don't need the full board for this. The only thing where you're gonna need more of a quorum is actually the ULIP things, that we have coming up.
But if you.
It's gonna be more than an hour.
To the public, what Dr. Michelle said, that might not be a bad idea.
That's the way we used to do it.
I know.
And it's the most convenient, and it's the opportunity to have the public be able to speak on it.
Yeah, I agree, but I think we want to hear something a little bit sooner than that. I mean, I think we should have something
If we're gonna
sooner
have it
than
sooner,
that.
then that's
When's the
fine.
deadline for the,
It's, the city plans on responding by December. You can do it the next meeting, but I don't recommend it, because they want us to respond sooner than that. They want us to respond.
why don't we do two things? Why don't we have